let's talk about Deutsche Bank's new restructuring plan being run by John Cryan. Let's see and examine it closely and see how it's working for them. Find out more now. Okay, let's examine Deutsche Bank's restructuring plan, and is it working? They have a new CEO, John Cryan. He's got a strategy to transform Deutsche Bank, and main part of his strategy is, okay, you'll figure it out right here. One of the watershed moments of Mr. Cryan's tenure was his October 2015 announcement that the lender would be embarking on a broad-based restructuring plan to help reverse Deutsche Bank's fortunes and profits. The group unveiled a plan that would axe upwards of 35,000 jobs over the next few years across its global operations. Well, here's the thing. His big plan is basically to take an axe and snip off parts of the company and snip off people's jobs. That's his big plan. And this cost-cutting strategy that he's using is actually, to a certain degree, working. I do believe that the bank would have been gone by now if it hadn't been for what he's doing. So because of all the fines that they've had, they had losses for tremendous losses. They had to settle for $7.2 billion. So if we take a look at this year and their crisis, in June of 2015, he was appointed as the CEO, John Cryan. In October of that year, he started on his restructuring plan. Also in October, they had a $2.5 billion LIBOR fine. In November, they had to pay $257 million fine for violating sanctions. In January, they posted a $6.8 billion yearly loss for 2015. Now, these kind of losses would have taken the bank down, but he did so much cutting that in February of 2017, their loss narrowed to $1.35 billion. Okay, that's a huge narrowing. From $6.8 billion loss in 2015 to $1.35 billion loss in 2016. You see the effects of his cutting measures? Now, here's what I want to point out. They ask, will John Cryan's plan work to save Deutsche Bank? Now, I'm going to tell you my opinion. My opinion is that Deutsche Bank would have went down if it hadn't been for these restructuring plans of John Cryan. And my opinion is that the bank is still in grave danger of going down. But here's the big caveat. Interest rates are on their way back up. And what caused this bank to go down in the first place was, of course, fines, but also the fact that interest rates have been so low for so long. We've had zero interest rate policy, ZIRP, and we've also had NIRP. And the thing is negative interest rate policy, NIRP. And the thing is these policies hurt the banks. But now, the tide of money has changed. Back in July of last year, when the bond market started to go up, actually it's going down, it's because it's inverse, but the bond price, when bond yields started to rise, and they've risen a lot, substantially since last July, that's when they started to rise. That's when the tide of interest rates started to change. That's the whole thing started to change. Money moves like a tidal current in a river. And so, anyway, that change takes time to come into effect where the banks are going to start to make money again, especially the ones in Europe. But it's coming. Now, if John Cryan can get through the next little period, this period of low interest rate period that's hurt this bank, and this is why they're taking all these losses. Plus, they got fines coming up, and especially there's a big fine coming up right away that's hurting them. and their price of their stock has been falling as of the last few days. If they can get past this next little hurdle and get back into a period where the interest rates are going up, and if they can start lending money out and start making money using the power of fractional reserve banking, they might stand a chance. But that's a big if. Deutsche Bank is in huge trouble, and they just as easily could go down. So we're going to have to keep our eye on this. If they're going to go down, they're going to go down sooner rather than later, because if these higher interest rates comes in and the bank can start making money again, they'll start turning a profit at that point. But if they're going to go down, they're going to go down probably within the next year. You know, if they can make it past that time and get back to the higher interest rates, then the bank can start making money again as a viable business. So there's my opinion on how Deutsche Bank's restructuring plan is working. My opinion is that John Cryan saved the bank from going under. And also, if he can get through this next little period, then his restructuring plan just might work. But this next little period is going to be very difficult. There's a high probability that they could go under in this next little while. Especially if we find out how much this new set of fines that's coming is. I hear that the new set of fines that they got coming is in the billions. But that might not pan out to be true. It might be less. We'll have to wait and see. If it's a high number, Deutsche Bank, they've recapitalized to $8 billion, but this has come as a huge cost because what they've done is they've cannibalized themselves to recapitalize. So if you like this article, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.